Call the meeting to order. Please rise for a moment of silence and salute to the flag. Salute to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Academic affairs recap.
So we had our Academic Affairs Committee meeting on the 8th. We spent some time walking through some of the proposed revisions to our 9 to 12 course offerings. We are hoping to move towards a pathways approach to our high school experience so our students have more options 9 to 12. In particular, looking at creating a 9th grade exploratory year for all of our students. We also took some time to talk through the approved CT programs we currently have in place. We have 7 programs currently, and we are spending some time looking at some shifting from 2-year to 3-year offerings for our CTE programs to allow for the bulk of coursework to happen during the 10th and 11th grade years so that our students have more time in their senior year to be able to pursue some actual work experiences. We also spent time talking about the different articulation agreements that we have currently in the school district and how we will continue to expand them. We also discussed school and comprehensive planning. We are currently in the process of our comprehensive planning right now. We have some updated vision statements for our high school as well as our district-wide that will be shared publicly and added to our planning documents. I did want to share that we had 345 responses from stakeholders on our vision survey. 102 of those were our students who provided feedback. So that feedback is all being incorporated into the vision statements and has been shared back out with the Comprehensive Planning Committee. That feedback will be incorporated into our final vision statement, which will then be aligned with some metrics for us to measure our progress towards that vision. We also talked about our elementary literacy pilots. We're going to continue working through those literacy pilots. We've seen some really positive results in some of our mid-year testing, which I'll be bringing back to the Academic Affairs Committee in the future. And finally, we talked about our AI committee. Dr. McCluskey, who's one of our middle school assistant principals, has taken the lead in coordinating and leading a team of students, teachers, and administrators in formulating a district position statement on the use of AI. Once a final draft is crafted, we will bring to the Academic Affairs Committee to review, and then the draft policy will be prepared for the policy committee. I did want to share thanks to Ryan for taking the lead on this and for the full AI team for their time and attention to this. Questions?
Thank you. Oh, athletics.
I don't have much, but some of my coaching presentation and everything. I do have a question about when we did the scoreboard, when we voted to Al Stewart donate to his dad and everything. So I have a question. Al hasn't given me the check, and he was away. He was in Hawaii for like 2 weeks. So my question was, can I do the PO for it? He's going to donate the money back to the school, and we're going to buy the scoreboard for the full amount. He's going to donate the full amount for the tax purposes. We need the tax break with the scoreboard company. So I was wondering if I can go ahead and do a PO without it, or wait until the check comes in until I do the PO. Because you don't, when you do the PO, go through the stages, you don't pay for it until they get the scoreboard in the spring until it's fully installed. That's my question. Can I go ahead and do the PO, or should I just wait until I get the check in hand? Or that's what I'm
Business
asking.
manager question. That's a business manager question.
He'll be back. Okay. Okay. That was not the otherwise I heard.
Thanks. Ms. Romeo, budget report.
Do we have a heavy budget committee that will be doing the
chair there.
Okay. Then, report, we had our first, meeting for the budget committee, which we're gonna start having, committee decided every 2 weeks, we're gonna start having meetings until we can fully get a grasp on the budget and where we're at, so we can stay on track for the timeline. One of the things that we talked about in the committee that was a big thing was the AFR was submitted. We do have a surplus from last year, and one thing we made sure that everybody understood is the surplus is not something that we're going to see every year. It was a lot of one-time things. One of the big ones was from the ESSERS. So we had the ESSERS money, which was the COVID money. So for the first 2 years, a lot of that money hadn't been spent. This last third year brought us up to about $4 million. So we got the reimbursement and the subsidy money from that. The other one that was probably the major one was the building subsidies that a lot of people, it's PlanCon, which is a program that the district is a part of, but the program is no longer available. But when we make debt payments, we do get a percentage of that money back. Over the past few years, these debt reimbursements weren't being submitted. So with the help of Jim and Joe, they had gotten submitted. That brought us up to about $1.8 million to cover the surplus. Some of the other things were smaller numbers. One of the probably third, I would say, biggest thing was the interest on investments, because we moved some money around, was plus $928,000. Originally expected was probably around, I believe, $60,000. So there was a big jump in that. Our next meeting is going to be, it'll be posted, it'll be January 22nd, I believe, at 5 or 5:30. But I'll be sending out an invite to all the members, and then that'll be
The only thing to add to that is one of the other discussions was where to put the fund balance. So our recommendation is that we simply assign this, we assign any of the surplus that's in the general fund, or assign the general fund balance to future capital projects. And by assigning it, that'll keep the money in your general operating budget, but it continues to collect interest. It doesn't require board approval. As you have continued discussions about the HVAC system, some of the other projects that were brought up at different meetings, you'll have the option or the opportunity to either commit that money, not assign it, but to either commit it or to restrict it, which would require board votes. But in order for us to file the AFR, or refile the AFR, because there is a surplus and we need to refile it, we need to indicate where the balance is going. And again, our preference at this point is to say it's being assigned for future capital projects, meaning that in the eyes of the state, it's accounted for, right? And it'll remain in the general fund, but collecting interest. So that's our intention. We just wanted to report out on that. Then, as you have future budget committee meetings, you can begin to decide how what your intentions are for some of the projects on the horizon. Thank you.
Grant, we have your update. Do you have anything in addition to that?
Other than, the only thing I wanted to highlight is we had a buildings and grounds meeting. Two of the, I would say the more main topics that were going over at the buildings and grounds meeting was getting some pricing on it to do a possible HVAC project here at East Berwick, and getting pricing for the rehab of the tennis court and the recoating of the track here. So this Friday, actually, I think I left. This Friday, we have a company coming in to do the core samples at the track. So they'll get that information in order to give us an analysis. So the gentleman that's giving us a price on the track can give us an accurate account of what might be going on there underneath before he gives us a price to coat it. And there was no reason to do any core samples at the tennis court, because that's a complete take that apart and redo it. And next week sometime, we haven't nailed down a date yet, we're gonna have if you wanna call it a kickoff meeting to get some HVAC pricing, for some engineers to come and look around My goal would be to get this information for the tennis courts and the track and HVAC pricing and bring it to Buildings and Grounds and see how they would want to proceed.
Questions for Brent? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mrs. Post, anything from CSIU?
At our last meeting, we were given 2 overviews, one of the 21st Century Community Learning Centers, which involves after-school and summer programs. And the other one was information about the statewide support provided by the Center for Schools and Community. And we also had previously an executive session. That's
Thank you. We did not have a policy committee meeting last month. Mr. Heiss, anything from VOTEC?
I don't really have much, because unfortunately, myself besides I had to miss the last meeting due to the winter and holiday concert schedule. The thing I can report on is they had reorganization back tonight, and Charlie Chayko remains president. Cynthia, he's from Central Columbia. Cynthia Bradton's vice chair. She's from Southern Columbia. And they also reported in the paper they had a drug dog go through and sniffed and came up clean, which is a good thing. The next meeting is next Tuesday, the 21st. So I hope we get back on the meeting schedule then.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to the end of our committee updates. We move right along into the regular meeting. First item we have would be approval of meeting minutes from our last 3 meetings. I got 2 more. Sorry. All right, so we have the reorganization meeting minutes from December 2nd.
second.
All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion to approve the regular board meeting minutes from December 2nd.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion to approve the special board meeting minutes from December 9th. All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Next, we have the monthly bills. Questions from Ms. Romeo? Can we get a motion to approve the bills? Second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mrs. Pepperla?
Yes.
Mr. Lanning?
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer? Yes. Mr. Nestle?
Yes.
Mrs. Post?
Abstain from general fund.
Mr. Taylor? And Mr. Yip?
Yes. The principals provided reports for the agenda, as well as Mr. Christian for technology. Anybody have any questions? Mr. Pluto.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I have some introductory remarks, but going to be kind of a common theme in all those remarks. I think probably the best place to start would be with the School Director Recognition Month. These individuals were among the first people that I met in terms of coming back or coming into the area, coming to Berwick as the acting superintendent. And again, it's a common theme. I'm going to say this a lot in my opening remarks. They're all volunteers, first of all. I'm not sure if you understand that, but all the school board members are volunteers. They're definitely dedicated individuals. They're definitely passionate about your school district. They're passionate about your students. You know, they want your students and your staff, you know, your teachers, your administrators. They want everybody to be the best and to keep their focus on education. Okay? And that's one thing that came across. Okay, being a school director isn't easy. You know, it's tireless work. Again, just in the short time that I've been here, you've had 3 committee meetings. You where people are coming at night, they're coming during the school day, they're giving up their time, their personal time, not only for meetings like this, but for other meetings. So again, it's once a year. It probably should be said more often or recognized more often, but at least across the state, in every school, public school anyway, they recognize January as School Director Month. Again, just to give some kudos, at least to give thanks for their service. So on behalf of the Berwick Area School District, I'd like to thank the Board of Directors of Berwick Area School District for your service to your community. And we don't have any parting gifts except for maybe the popcorn from Mr. Gould. But we do have some keepsakes. Again, at least it's a certificate that you can keep and display. You should be proud of that. It's a piece of paper, but it says a lot. And again, it's just a small token of appreciation, recognition for your service. Thank you.
Thanks.
Very good, thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
And we also have one from Mr. Eisenhower. Is he on the phone?
No, he's not.
Right. And there's one special recognition tonight. It's for 5 years of service. It's called the Honor Roll of School Board Service, and that's for to Brenda for 5 years of service. Thank you, Brenda. You're welcome. Congratulations. Right. And, as far as an introduction, I just want to let you know that I'm very happy and pleased to serve in this interim role or as the acting superintendent. Again, I'm just so impressed with everyone that I've met. So again, if you're a parent or a grandparent, community member, and you have children, grandchildren, loved ones, neighbors, anybody attending the school district, so really feel you're in good hands, right? The same things that I had mentioned about your school board, being passionate and dedicated, I'm finding that to be the case of your teaching staff, your support staff, your administrative staff. I've had opportunities to have one-on-one conversations. We started with the central office administration. I've met with the principals, begun to meet with the instructional staff. It's been more with the administrators at this point. But the one thing that keeps them coming across is that they want your school to be successful. They want your school district to be successful. So that's how I view my role. Again, I'm retired. I do I work in schools part-time as more or less as a retiree. I'm here to support you. I'm here to help you in any way. You're about to begin a superintendent search. I'll be here to assist in any way that is necessary. But my role, my goal, my job between now and to whenever you bring on the permanent person is just to to be here, to be supportive, to help your school district continue to grow and to progress. Okay, and again, I'm just really pleased and good people, and just continue to work together and find yourself a permanent superintendent, which you'll do at some point, and things will be fine. All right, so one of the, just to piggyback then, the next topic, looking at meeting with your central office administration, starting with the assistant to the superintendent position, is to delegate or to assign job responsibilities. So on the public site, if you were to click on any of these documents, you can see what's written. I have them formatted like a job description, but that's to keep us, for administration to have a clear path of who's doing what. Okay, so if you're, do you want to click on this one? So again, it's formatted like a job description, but it's, we're calling it the performance responsibilities. These are the assigned tasks that, in this case, would be given to the assistant to the superintendent. Okay, between now and the end of the school year through the summer, this may be a position that you decide that, hey, the way that the job performances are organized here and structured, this is something that you may want to keep, as a job. But then again, you may not. Okay, but for now, we just needed a clear path. We needed a game plan on who's doing what between now and the end of school. So that's the performance responsibilities. Okay, and again, on the public site, you can view them and observe them. Okay, and those are the roles that the different administrators will have. Okay, just going through that whole process and the conversation and looking at your district, there are a few other, especially talking to the director of curriculum and the director of special education and student services. There were some tasks that they were doing that really wasn't codified. So on their job descriptions, I codified it. Okay? Again, I'm not asking the board to approve the other two job descriptions. I just want them, they're there for your information. At some point in the future, once you decide what you're doing with the assistant to the superintendent position, you may want to at least vote on the other two job descriptions and make them official. Okay, but I think they're solid. They do reflect what those two other positions are doing, and then the assistant to the superintendent position will reflect what that position, what that person is doing from now to the balance of the school year. Also, in this role as your acting superintendent, I should have explained that. As an acting superintendent, I have all the authority to act as your permanent superintendent. But because I'm here as more or less a substitute, I'm given the title that the state recognizes as acting. Okay, so I'm considered the acting superintendent. One of the tasks that I had since coming on board is conducting some exit interviews, and then also having the opportunity to meet staff, and then accepting the retirement letters of certain staffs, as well as resignation letters for some that are moving on to other opportunities. I just wanted to talk a little bit about that as well. The exit interviews that I had conducted was, one was with Kara Gunn, who was an assistant principal here, and she ultimately ended up moving on to another position in the Bloomsburg area school district. And I wish Kara well. But I want to focus on the other person and our retirees for my next comments. Tony Phillips was the other individual that I had the exit interview with. And then, and of course, on the agenda tonight, you have Christine Paulus and Tracy Noor also submitting letters of retirement. I'm going to start with Tony, and I think the same would apply to Christine and to Tracy. Wasn't, you know, if any of you had Tony Phillips as a teacher, or Mrs. Phillips as a teacher, yeah, she comes across a little rough and so forth, and I wasn't sure what to expect. But after that interview, you know, after the exit interview, I mean, if I was here full time, I would love the lady. You know, she's definitely for the students. You know, she's passionate about the students. I'm not sure if it always came across that way, but in the time that we had, and we spent about an hour together, she is 100% a teacher dedicated to students. And the same thing with the other two retirees that are that the board is being asked to accept their letters of retirement this evening. They've spent over 30 years in the district, or 30 years teaching students. I think Christina's been here, or has been teaching 32 years, and Tracy has been teaching since 1989. So that's a long time. Okay, and again, in their letters of retirement, you know, they expressed a deep love for the district and for the students. Okay, and I'm finding that again to be the case of all your staff, whether it's the administrative staff or the teaching staff. Okay, and again, you have good people here. So I want to congratulate our retirees, including Mrs. Phillips, and I want to wish anyone else resigning, you know, just the best of luck in their new pursuits. And also, you have two coaches that are also retiring tonight. You have Coach Paul DePippa, Pippa, I said that right? Yeah. Okay, and then also Mark Schrader. So Paul put 16 years in as the girls soccer coach, Matt put in 17 years as the boys tennis coach. That's a lot of commitment as well, so I want to commend those two individuals for their time and service to the district, their commitment to, in this case, the student athletes of Berwick area. Then in terms of the new staff, there's several hires on the agenda tonight, and again, I want to wish these individuals the best of luck. I had an opportunity to observe your teacher hiring process, or at least the interview process. I was just very impressed with the different steps and the quality assurance checks that you have in place to make sure that the individuals that are being recommended for hire are the best individuals possible. So what I've done is, Dr. Schauble, you want to just explain a little bit about the interview process? And again, I just thought it was so impressive.
So we start with our first round interviews. This is after our candidates come through. We do have a rating sheet, so they're making sure that we have everyone coming in who is the highest caliber teacher candidates to come in for our first round interview. During that first round interview process, we do score all of our applicants. We have a variety of individuals who take part on that interview panel, including teachers and administrators. I'm actually really pleased with our second round interview process. It's my favorite part of the interview process because we bring students in of the grade level that these candidates will be teaching, because it's a lot nicer to be able to see them work with actual kids than to try to teach a lesson to us grown-ups. We're also not the best as grown-ups of being in the lessons. And this last group that came through was 3rd and 4th graders, and it was the funniest thing to hear them say when they left that a couple of them wanted to be HR professionals after this because they had such a good time being part of the interview process. We also ask the students questions, so they do give us feedback on what they liked, they didn't like, so that we're able to utilize that to incorporate that. I also wanted to share that a number of our candidates referenced being a part of our STEM nights, our early dismissal enrichment events, our classroom observations, and our student teaching as key reasons for why they applied for a role here in our school district. I do want to thank Dr. Amanda Stutzman from Commonwealth University Bloomsburg for her partnership in this, as we're already seeing the positive impacts from those partnerships. We're going to continue our connections with the university and to pursue all different ways we can bring in these potential teacher candidates. And I also want to thank all of our teachers who are part of our interview process, but also the teachers that are welcoming these pre-service teachers into their classroom. Because we're able to see these pre-service teachers from sometimes their freshman and sophomore year in college, all the way through to student teaching. And so these are individuals who now are going to be here and be part of our community. So we have, I think, a good number of candidates today, and I am anticipating when we have our positions open up, if any additional open towards the end of the year, that we will have a good pool of candidates.
Mr. Yost already mentioned this, but just to point out again, all the administrators that are not a part of a committee have submitted reports. So again, when you have some time, I would encourage you to read their reports. They're really extensive, highlights many good things happening in your school district, including the student journalists who recently captured some first place awards that was reported in Ms. Hinkle's report as a high school principal. Okay, so when you have time, please read those. It's public, and they'll be continue to be posted in the public part of the board agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Caputo. That brings us to public comment. Agenda items only. Please state your name, township or borough. Nobody? All right, I guess we'll move on. We have two general items to approve with one motion. Anybody have any questions on these? Second? All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Two transportation items to hire drivers for two different of our vendors. Get a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
I have to go to first one. I hope I see it.
Extracurricular, one item, bylaws for the class of 2028. Get a motion to approve. Second, all in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Several personnel items. 1 through 10, will be with one motion. Are there any questions on these items? Get a motion to approve personnel items 1 through 10. All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. These next several will be roll call votes. Personnel item 11, approval of Amy Malin as elementary interventionist at Master Step 1. Get a motion to approve. Second. Call please.
Mrs. Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer.
Yes.
Mrs. Post.
Yes.
Mr. Taylor. Mr. Hess.
Yes.
Mr. Lanning.
Yes.
Mr. Nestle.
Yes.
Mr. Gibbs.
Yes. Personnel item 12, approval of Brittany Parker to change her status to elementary interventionist, and her compensation will remain the same. Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call please.
Mr. Lanning.
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer.
Yes.
Mr. Hess.
Yes.
Mr. Nestle.
Yes.
Mrs. Caprilla.
Yes.
Mrs. Post.
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
Mr. Yost?
Yes. Personnel item 13, approval of Natalie Steer as elementary phys ed teacher at Master's Step 1.
So,
Roll call, please.
Mr. Taylor? Mr. Nestle?
Yes.
Mr. Lanning?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
yes.
Mrs. Concurlo?
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer? Yes. Mrs. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Yost?
Yes. Personnel item 14, approval of Garrett Pinelli as elementary teacher at Master's Step 4.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Concurlo?
Yes.
Mr. Lanning?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer?
Yes.
Mrs. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Nestle?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor? Mr. Yost?
Yes. Personnel item 15, approval of Caitlin McWilliams to be elementary teacher at Bachelor's Step 1.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mrs. Concurlo?
Yes.
Mr. Lanning?
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Nestle?
Yes.
Mrs. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor? Mr. Yost?
Personnel item 16, approval of Millie Collins to be middle school long-term social studies substitute, prorated Bachelor Step 1. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lanning?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Nestle?
Yes.
Mrs. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mrs. Concurlo?
Yes.
Mr. Yost?
Yes. Do you have any old business for tonight? First order of new business is approval of contract with Tom Templeton of Templeton Advance for superintendent search services.
So,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Ayes have it. Is there any other new business? That brings us to closing public comment. Please state your name and township or borough.
Yes, I'll speak. Crystal Mikulowski, Nescafet, you're not getting off that easy. As the board has approved the resignation of Paul DePippa as the girls' varsity coach, I speak for myself, for my daughter, and probably most, if not all, of the current players and parents to endorse, and hopefully the board and athletic director take Randy Cocorlo into consideration to fill that girls' varsity coach position.
Nancy Hickson, Borough. First, I would like to say I like the new agenda. It shows more transparency. I hope it continues, and even more is added. Notice I gave positive first. So here we go. Do as I say, not as I do, is not a very good way to educate or lead or teach. I have taught first graders all the way up to medical doctors, and trust me, they're even worse than first graders. And I've been on many boards and have been both volunteers and also paid in those, and have realized this is not how you act. It undermines credibility and fosters a disconnect between what's expected and what's actually practiced. I also was raised and tried to raise my son with a philosophy of, if you're going to do something, do it to the best of your ability. That being said, means that anytime you have a chance to practice or educate yourself, you should do it. Passing G1 was a small step tonight, but again, you must practice it. I wonder how many of you actually read that before you passed it. That means anytime you can take trainings or classes, you should do so. Okay, what does that bring me to? That brings me to Act 55, Section 328 of the Public School Code number 1, which was amended with Act 18. This is now called required or RQD training. It must be done in the first 12 months of being on the board. If you don't know, you're in your 13th month. Basic training, first-time board members have to take the basic, and re-elected members, which we had none, have to take the advanced. This training includes trauma-informed approaches. How many even know what that is? Because I haven't seen much of it done here. It also gives you a chance with school personnel, fiscal management, which was often said frivolous spending, as some of you, operations, who's responsible for what, governance, what a board, school board, does versus the responsibility of the superintendent and administrators, ethics, open meetings, sunshine law, or having meetings through text. Luckily, this is public comment, not public questioning, because a roll call vote of who has this training and doesn't, or only started it and never completed it, might be interesting. I guess that's what a right to know might be used for. Not that I'm going to. At first, I thought maybe you didn't know about this training, but some person already started it or may have finished it, so the rest of the board should know. At least you should be working together. And then I thought maybe it's that you're too busy, your lives are. But you just recently made these parents out here who have just as busy a life as you do go through child abuse training. I think yours were 2, mine was 3 hours, but we won't get into that, and possibly get TV testing. They're just as busy as you. They just wanted to volunteer for their children and the other children that the parents may not be able to. Last is it that there's really no consequence for this? Is that why you're not doing it? Well, there isn't. The Auditor General may come in here and look it over, but he's going to mark it, but you really don't. But I just want you to know that if 10 taxpayers sign a petition and present it, the board members can be removed for not doing this. I will let you know this has never been done in Pennsylvania, but again, some of you people like having and being the district to do something first. Maybe the taxpayers should want to do that. I'm just saying that I think you should take it on yourselves, look back at what you're presenting to your administrators, your teachers, and other people in the general public here. The teachers have to do training several times. I don't know if theirs is every year. Mine's every 2 years. I have to get it to keep mine. And when I was a volunteer, I had to do it every year. So, all I'm saying is, I will leave this to you answer privately. Think about it yourselves, and think about your board members there. Maybe, and I agree, Mr. Caputo, I don't know if you're Dr. or Mr., I'm sorry, but I agree with you, they are volunteers. But if you're going to volunteer, step up and do the job. Take as much training as you can. It will help. Thank you.
Anyone else? So our executive session, 2 personnel items, 2 contract items. Our next meeting will be here on February 10th at 6 o'clock.